Welcome, dear viewer, to the Enigma Vault. Today, we have a very thought-provoking idea to cover. We will be trying to evaluate and explore the thoughts of a typical Roman individual after he has been transported to the modern era and contemplates the marvels of today's world. Take a moment and imagine a Roman statesman, someone from the height of the Roman Empire, perhaps around the 2nd century AD, suddenly transported into the world we live in today. He stands in a city filled with immense glass towers, flashing lights, and sounds coming from invisible sources. The air smells of fuel, car exhausts, and garbage, not like the simple smell of earth or olive oil that he'd grown accustomed to. The people around him carry glowing rectangles, speak to distant voices, and seem to have access to limitless knowledge. He would not just be confused, he would be overwhelmed. But once the shock settles, the comparisons would begin. The first reaction would likely be awe. Technological advancement would seem like a kind of magic. Electric lighting, elevators, clean running water in every home, climate-controlled buildings. These would surpass the technological capacity of any Roman villa or palace. Our ability to fly across the world, speak across continents, and carry vast libraries in our pockets would be seen as the realization of myths. Gods in the Roman imagination had powers such as these, and yet beneath the marvel, deeper observations would start to emerge. Romans were not strangers to urban complexity. Cities like Rome, Alexandria, and Antioch were centers of culture, law, philosophy, and commerce. They were noisy, diverse, and layered, but they were also walkable, built on human scale, and deeply integrated with their surroundings. A Roman might look at the sprawl of modern metropolises, with people packed into steel boxes, commuting long distances to perform highly specialized labor, and wonder whether we have mastered the city or whether it has mastered us. They would recognize our political institutions, at least in structure. The Senate, the notion of the Republic, these were Roman inventions, but they'd be surprised by our expectations of equality, that women vote, that slaves were abolished, that leaders are chosen by popular vote from all classes. These ideas would have seemed radical, even dangerous to a Roman elite. Yet they might also see the virtue in such progress. But there is a side of modern civilization the Romans might regard as weaker than their own. They might be puzzled by how fragile our systems are. As we covered in our previous chapter regarding Roman construction via specialized concrete, Rome had built their infrastructure to last. Their aqueducts, bridges, and roads were designed with longevity in mind, and many still stand today because of it. Our modern equivalents, built with planned obsolescence and short-term profit in mind, often decay within decades. To a Roman engineer, this would seem like carelessness. In daily life, they might see in us a loss of discipline. Romans valued duty, honor, and sacrifice. Even when they were cruel, their society demanded public virtue. Today, convenience often outweighs responsibility. Comfort takes precedence over duty. They might be disturbed by our passivity, our dependence on machines, our detachment from nature, and our fading sense of shared purpose. In Rome, education was about rhetoric, philosophy, history, and the cultivation of character. The idea was not just to train a worker, but to form a citizen. They might find our modern educational systems fragmented and utilitarian, focused more on productivity than on wisdom. They would likely question the absence of rituals that bind communities together. In Rome, religion, politics, and public life were intertwined. Civic participation was a moral expectation. Festivals, rites, public speeches, these were part of how people understood their place in the world. In contrast, today's public life is fractured. Much of our experience is virtual. Collective memory is shallow, historical awareness is limited, and citizenship is often passive. Where Romans made decisions based on legacy and posterity, often building for the next generation, we build for the next quarter. Our economy moves quickly, but not always with vision. We have access to vast stores of knowledge, but often lack the framework to use it wisely. In Rome, the state had an identity. It saw itself as a civilization, one with a destiny, values to defend, and a structure to uphold. Our civilization is more fragmented, defined more by consumer choice and personal freedom than any collective mission. That freedom is a great achievement, but it may also be our greatest vulnerability. And yet, a Roman might also see in us a continuation of their legacy. Our laws, architecture, our concepts of citizenship, even our languages, are all shaped by Rome. Our fascination with empire, innovation, and the limits of human potential all echo what was once Roman ambition. But they would also see that we have entered a different phase. Rome believed it was eternal, and for centuries it was, but it collapsed, not from external invasion alone, but from internal exhaustion, moral confusion, and administrative decay. They might see warnings in our time, our polarization, our distracted culture, our over-reliance on luxury and spectacle. They might ask us, do you still believe in something greater than yourselves? Or have you mistaken your comfort for purpose? They would not see us as entirely superior, nor entirely lost. They would see a civilization with immense potential, brilliant in many ways, but drifting in others. A civilization that can reach the stars, but struggles to understand itself. A people who conquered time and distance, but feel isolated. A culture that inherited the Roman world and forgot how to carry its weight. In the end, what would the ancient Romans think? They would be amazed by our technology, impressed by our progress, troubled by our fragility, and perhaps most of all, they would wonder if we truly understand the cost of all we've gained and how much of ourselves we've lost along the way. Thank you for exploring yet another chapter within our Enigma vault. We truly hope that you enjoyed your stay and will consider liking, subscribing, or commenting to keep up to date with our delves into history. We are always thankful for your support.